Understanding written French and comprehending spoken French are two completely different skills. Salut, I'm Simo from FrenchArena. In today's lesson, I'm going to share with you 6 tips to improve your French listening skills today. On commence. Understanding spoken French is harder for some students than others, but unlike speaking, which by definition requires a conversation partner, listening can be done on your own wherever and whenever you like. But even so, the best way is not quite obvious. You ask yourself as a beginner, what do I listen to? Do I watch movies? Do I listen to the radio? Do I watch tons of YouTube videos? You're not quite sure exactly what to do in order to improve your listening skills. If you're feeling lost and can't seem to figure out how to improve your listening skills, do not worry, I have been there. For the longest time, in order to improve my listening skills, I thought I needed to listen to any and everything that was in French. It wasn't until I discovered these 6 tips that I'm about to share with you in today's video that my listening skills improved immensely. The first tip is master liaisons in French. I say this because you need to understand when French speakers link words together. When a word ends with a consonant that is normally not pronounced, a liaison is made by pronouncing the consonant if the word is followed by a vowel or a silent H. There are also specific cases and rules. There are times when a liaison is required, recommended, or forbidden. Let's see some examples so that you can better understand what I mean and how this would improve your listening skills. Un ami. Un ami. And this just means a friend or one friend. Now, do you see the liaison between the N? I didn't say un ami, I said un ami. So the French just say that without thinking about it. So you might be thinking, why is this person saying one word? It's a liaison, it goes together because it's a vowel after a consonant. Do you get? Let's look at more examples. C'est un ami. C'est un ami. And this just means he is a friend. Here, there are 2 liaisons. Liaison in T between et and un. Liaison in N between un and ami. Now, we also use liaisons after subject pronouns. So for example, nous avons. Nous avons. I didn't say nous avons, it's nous avons. Or elles ont. Elles ont. I'm not saying elles ont. Elles ont. It's a liaison, so it links together. Or another example, 2 heures. 2 heures. This means 2 hours. Do you see that I didn't say 2 heures, I said 2 heures. Now the liaison is in Z between 2 and heures. And there's so much more that I cannot even say everything in this video. But the most important tip is you need to master the liaisons, because when you do so, you're able to then understand the sentences, understand what the French speakers are saying, and be able to follow a conversation easier. And so, to end tip 1, you definitely need to remember that you need to master the required liaisons, the forbidden liaisons, and the optional liaisons. Let's look at tip number 2. Please take note that these tips are just my opinions. These are ways that improve my listening skills. So every single person is different, but I'm sure that at least 1 or 2 or even all of these tips that I'm teaching you today will definitely help to improve your French listening skills. So number 2, and this is a bit odd, but if you drive, get a GPS audio in French. Let me explain what I mean. You've been driving around New York for about 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. You know your way, right? Get your GPS in French audio. Use it all the time because you already know where it is you're going. Whether it's telling you to go left or right or go center, you know the route to your place of work, to home, your house, the supermarket, your house, your friend's house. But how this helps is you're listening to what is being said in French. I've been doing this for a while when I started learning French, and I realized that I didn't even notice it was in French anymore, because every single time I know where it is I'm going. I'm probably going from my house to some place that I'm supposed to be, and it's speaking in French, and I'm picking up new vocabulary. I'm learning directions. I'm learning how to pronounce certain streets that is being said. And so I realized that this really helped me. So even if you're a beginner or you're intermediate or you're advanced, it's extremely helpful for you. But please take note, like I said, this is if you can drive. If you can drive and you're not quite sure, you can also use it maybe if you're walking, because I've seen that sometimes when I travel and I'm using the maps, I can put it in French and it will tell me go right, go left. You're looking at your phone, right? So even if it's telling you go right, go left, and you're not sure what that is in French, you're seeing the phone and the phone is showing you this is the way to go, or this is the way, or this is the way. Tip number 3, watch movies with French subtitles. Now you might say, oh Sumo, I'm a beginner, I'm an intermediate student, I'm not quite sure what to watch. Watching dubbed and subtitled movies is a great way to improve your French listening skills. When you're trying to improve your listening, it's hard to even grasp what the characters might be saying, leaving only the visual as a clue. Now, to avoid struggling through a 2-hour movie, or maybe it's a 45 minutes episode in a series, and feeling extremely frustrated and overwhelmed at the end, turn on the French subtitles. If you don't feel comfortable reading that quickly in French, try this process that I'm going to list out to you. Step 1, pick a movie you've seen before or pick a series you've seen before. Step 2, turn on the French dubbed version so that the characters are speaking in French and not in English. Step 3, turn on the English subtitles first, then listen carefully to the words the characters are saying. Take notes about the words and turns of phrases that are foreign to you. Step 4, when you feel more comfortable, switch the subtitles to French. Now, connect those same sentences you hear to the French words themselves. Again, write down the aspects of the language you don't understand. You can ask a friend who can speak French, or you can get your dictionary and look them up. Step 5, watch one more time without any French subtitle. Can you pull out certain words from the conversation? So, let me give you an example. I love Friends. I love watching the series Friends over and over again. And what I did that I realized really helped me was I started watching Friends in French. Now I have watched Friends Lord knows how many times, so I can watch it over and over again. I know every scene. I know what Ross is going to say next. I know how Rachel felt the first time Ross spoke to her. I know every single thing between Monica and Chandler. But what helped me was when I hear it in French, I was like, oh, this is what is being said. And that helped me a lot. Please note, what I am saying is not in one day. So it's not in one day that I sat down and watched season 1 to season 10. Obviously not. But you can start bit by bit. If you love a different kind of series, maybe you like White Collar. Right now I'm just listening to series I like. But basically, whatever series you like, start with something simple. I was thinking of watching Game of Thrones in French, and I realized it might have been a bit too complicated for me as a beginner, which is why I started off with Friends. If you would like to start with something simpler and you like cartoons, you can start with that. So you can check for Tom and Jerry in French, you can check for Looney Tunes in French, you can check for Mickey Mouse in French, if that's what you like. You need to look for what you like and then listen to that audio. It really, really helps. You can also consider doing these 5 steps that I've listed with you with a friend who you can call to text and ask, what do you think about that scene? Did you understand what was being said in that scene? So you sort of like have an accountability partner in quotes, but just someone who is sharing this with you. Now, if you're someone who wants to accelerate your results even more, make sure to click the link in my description box or comment section below to join any of my courses. These same tips that I'm sharing with you, I shared even much more with my students when they join the French Made Easy program. The only difference is I go ahead and I source movies for them pertaining to whatever level they are. So if you're a beginner, you have movies for a beginner. If you're intermediate, if you're advanced, you have such, because I know that these will be helpful for their level. So if you're someone who doesn't want to search for audio content from scratch, click the link in my description box below. And if you're not quite sure what your level is, I've also created the perfect free quiz for you. Just check out my description box below, click that link, take the free quiz to ascertain your level. Let's continue with the 4th tip to improve your listening skills in the French language. Practice active listening. I cannot say this enough. I'm going to say it again. Practice active listening. Now, one of the best ways to listen to French is to, listen to French, right? But this doesn't mean putting on some French music in the background whilst you're sipping wine or whilst you're cooking. No, you need to practice active listening. Yes, passive listening might work sometimes, but if you want to improve on your listening skills, you need to actively listen to what is being said. I mean, think about it this way. If you're at the cinema and you go to watch a movie, are you going to, if you spend the time just pressing your phone while the movie is going on, you're not hearing what they're saying, right? But if you actually put your phone aside and you're watching the movie like this, so you're looking at the movie, you're enjoying it, you're eating popcorn, you're actively listening to what the characters are saying. However, if you're on your phone throughout, that's passive listening. You are there, but you're passively listening to what is being said. What is happening is you're not able to gauge the reactions of what the person is saying. You do not know what the person wore. You don't know what happens in the next scene because you're just there. You're not actively listening. So now, how do you practice active listening? Get your hands on a recording of spoken French. You can use a movie, news broadcast, or podcast. The best way to listen actively is to silently repeat in your mind each word as you hear it. Listen to every sentence, rewind it, repeat, sound out, that's pronounce it, look up new words, and rinse and repeat the process again. Also, you can actually make out the separate words and understand the whole sentence. Now, I'm going to play an audio for you, and I want you to see what happens in this part. It's literally in French, it's completely in French. However, I'm going to show you what to do precisely. So you're going to listen to this excerpt and you're going to hear me pronounce each word as if I were a beginner. And this will really help you. Let's get started.
Laissez-moi vous raconter l'histoire d'un poulet.
I'll take that again.
Laissez-moi vous raconter l'histoire d'un poulet.
Now I would say laissez-moi. 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 I might not know what that means. I might know what it means. Whichever one, I would write it down. Let's listen again.
Laissez-moi vous raconter l'histoire.
Now, the next thing I would say is vous raconter. Vous raconter. Okay? Let's listen to the sentence one more time.
Laissez-moi vous raconter l'histoire d'un poulet.
L'histoire d'un poulet. L'histoire d'un poulet. L'histoire d'un poulet. Now I'm going to say the complete sentence together.
Laissez-moi vous raconter l'histoire d'un poulet.
Laissez-moi vous raconter l'histoire d'un poulet. Obviously, if you're a beginner, it might be a bit harder for you, but that is fine. The whole point is you're mimicking, you're repeating what is being said, and this is going to help you. Okay? So don't just, let me play the paragraph for you, because if you just listen to the complete paragraph and want to try and say it, you would make a mistake. Let me play the entire paragraph for you like you're a beginner or even intermediate and see if you understand it completely.
Laissez-moi vous raconter l'histoire d'un poulet. Ses amis l'appellent Petit Poulet. Petit Poulet vit dans une petite maison de poulet normale, dans une petite ville normale.
Do you see? It's a bit long if you're a beginner, precisely if you're a beginner. If you're intermediate, you might probably pick up some words, and definitely if you're advanced, you're like, oh, way to go somewhere, I understand everything being said. However, did you see what I did? I broke down each word, or at least two of the words, and you can take it a step further. Like I said, you write it down and you actually check your dictionary for what it means. Because I said this in the beginning, spoken French and written French are completely different. How you might read this might be, okay, laissez-moi vous raconter l'histoire d'un poulet. But a beginner might say, vous raconter. You see, the person might stutter because he or she is not sure. And you reading it, you might think, okay, that's the same way it's pronounced. It's not. So this is what I mean. I just wanted to show you a perfect example of how you would listen to a podcast, news broadcast, movie, whatever it is you want to pick your hands on, and repeat it over and over again. Now, please keep in mind that occasional passive listening can be quite beneficial, especially if you're at an advanced level. So for instance, if you're already an advanced speaker, what you can do is you can be driving home or driving wherever and listen to a French podcast. That's perfectly fine. You can listen to RFI, the French Radio International. That's also fine. Or Radio France International, excuse me. That's also fine for you. This will just help to retain and reinforce existing vocabulary, and also plays an extremely important part in immersion strategies. Let's take a look at the next tip in order to improve your listening skills in French. This tip is similar to that of number 4 because I already played out what you should have done, but I'm still going to talk more about it. The first step is to listen and read at the same time. We're still talking about this 5th tip, right? So you listen and read at the same time, then you read, then listen, and then listen, then read. I'll take that again. Listen and read at the same time. Read, then listen, listen and read. So now we'll use that sample again. You have the transcript in front of you, right? The first step, have the transcript available in front of you when you listen to the sound file so that you can see each word as you hear it. Letting your eyes and your ears process the same information simultaneously will help make the connection between written and spoken French, which is you would also learn how to be able to speak informally and formally. When you're learning grammar and vocabulary in French, you do not typically learn the difference between informal and formal French right off the bat. Now, what's great about having this transcript is not only would you have spectacular listening comprehension, you would also be able to understand the difference. On the second step, I said read, then listen. You read the transcript first. This is similar to warming up before playing a musical instrument or sports. So for example, every morning I stretch, I do this. So if you go to the gym, you don't just get to the gym and just start running. No, you have to stretch your body so that you're warming yourself up. If you want to play the piano, I don't play the piano, but I see people do this, like maybe they crack their hands or whatever, because you don't just sit down and just have, no, you have to actually warm yourself up. So it's the same thing. You read, then listen. Now you might ask, okay, Sumo, how does this help? It helps because it preps your brain with the vocabulary and the topic you're about to hear, and will make it easier to understand when you begin to listen. Now the third tip, still under number 5, like I said, is to listen then read. If you're up to the challenge, listen first, more than once if you would like, until you feel like you understand at least half of it. Then you have 2 options. Read the transcription before listening again, or listen again while reading the transcription. So like I did with the transcript we listened to, you can just sit down and decide to listen to everything. Now this particular book I'm reading has English and French transcriptions, which is perfect for a beginner. It's also good for an intermediate level. And so for instance, let me say I want to listen to 2 of the paragraphs from this particular book. I will decide to listen to it properly and then maybe repeat after it, and then listen to it again. I close my eyes, I let it assimilate, and then I repeat after it. So let's practice together.
Laissez-moi vous raconter l'histoire d'un poulet. Ses amis l'appellent Petit Poulet. Petit Poulet vit dans une petite maison de poulet normale, dans une petite ville normale. Il n'est ni grand, ni petit. Il n'est ni gros, ni maigre. Il n'est ni intelligent, ni stupide. Petit Poulet est un poulet tout à fait normal. Par une matinée tout à fait normale, Petit Poulet mange son petit déjeuner dans la cuisine. Il aime les toasts avec du beurre et le café à la crème.
Okay, so you see I've listened to an entire paragraph. What you can do after this is to listen again. Listen again. If I were a beginner, I'll probably listen to it about 3 to 5 times. That's just me personally. You do what's best for you. Once you're done listening to it properly, it has the English version like I said. You can then you can read the English version so that you pick up the words better and know what is being said. And then you can do as I literally did in tip 4, where I spoke each word for word, and then you can read each sentence. This will take you some time. You're not going to learn how to do this in one day. Please do not be hard on yourself, even 1 week, but it gets easier the more you practice. If you got to this point of the video, I want you to comment. This is my year to achieve fluency, so you can call in all your desires. Now, moving on to my next tip. Choose the right audio or video. I will take that again. Choose the right audio or video. This is actually one of the most important tips to remember, first of all. Whether you're a beginner, you're intermediate, or you're advanced, choose the right audio or video. In the previous tips to improve your French listening skills, I asked you to listen to an audio or video as part of an exercise, and we actually did it together, right? However, you must be careful when you choose audio or video. You must be assuming why. Here's why. First, any audio or video must match your French listening level. Are you an intermediate or an advanced listener? Are you a beginner? Are you A0? Are you in between? Second, you have to choose something you like, something you are passionate about. Do you like watching French movies? Do you like cooking? Do you prefer to listen to French culture? If so, you can listen to a French recipe, or you can actually listen to a documentary on French culture. You alone can decide. I say this because if you're interested in the topic, you'll be fully motivated. Third, do not choose an audiobook. I'm sure you're like, Sumo, but you just did that. Yes, the audiobook can only be used if you are reading the book at the same time. So a beginner, if I'm a beginner, I wouldn't be cooking and be playing that audiobook because I wouldn't be able to follow it. But if I'm actually reading the book at the same time, it'll be easier for me. Otherwise, it'll be too difficult if it's just passive listening. It's better to listen to a real conversation, probably like an interview, or if you even listen to a podcast. So maybe you have a podcast where a man and a woman are talking about relationships. If that's what you like, you can listen to that. Or like I said, if you are listening to, maybe somebody's telling you, okay, this is how you work out. If you listen to a podcast of a gym manager and the members, that can also help you because you're just listening to it. Now, still on the topic on picking what you like, are there any movies or TV shows at any level that you know by heart? Like how much I know Friends, right? If yes, then look for that one. So like I said, I love Friends. I'll pick that. Game of Thrones, I started watching it when it came out, but then I stopped because I got scared. But then later on, my husband then told me, Sumo, he loved the series, we should watch it together. And then I took out time to actually watch it with him. But if I were to choose, I would choose Friends again because I personally liked Friends. It's easy to follow, but I wouldn't usually watch Game of Thrones in French. This is just me, by the way. Do what you love. Pick an audio or video that you like so that it's easy for you, or it's easier for you, to want to listen to it. And I say this because it can help you quickly recognize slurs or shortcuts that are used by French speakers. When you first start learning, you hear people say, Je suis Sumo, je suis David. But if you listen to it in the movie, you just hear je suis David, je suis Somo. That's it. It's really, really fast. So when you're listening to these movies, you pick them up. Because the issue with gaining comprehension by talking with people is that you don't have the opportunity to stop and re-listen to what they said. And if you ask them to repeat, people will enunciate the second time and they wouldn't use a shortcut. But in the movie, you just pause and listen. So let me give an example in English. If I want to say, someone just learning English as well, I'll say, I'm going to go to the store. And the person might say, pardon me? You will then say, I am going to go to the store. Do you see? I have said it the proper way. The person will say, oh, okay. That means that person would never pick up the slur or pick up the slang or immediately understand the French speaker. Do you get it? And so to sum up this final tip, you have to choose audio or video that is for your level, that you're interested in. There you have it, right? 6 wonderful tips to help you improve your listening skills in French from today. A bonus advice that I would have, and this is please for advanced or intermediate speakers, apart from listening to copious amounts of speech, which is solid advice in itself, try and analyze natural speech via taking recordings. So for example, interviews with native speakers, podcasts that maybe you can even watch if you want. Make sure you play it, make sure to rewind it over and over again. I promise you, this really helps. This will also help your pronunciation because you're mimicking what it is you're hearing. If you remember the practice we did in tip number 4, where you watched me pause the audio, repeat after it, and pause it again, that helps because what happens is if I just read it on my own, I wouldn't understand the pronunciation. I'll read it how I think it should be read. But when I'm listening to it, it helps me. So I'm mimicking the French accent. I'm pronouncing it properly. I'm able to speak like the person. And this helps in the long term because the more you listen, the better your spoken French actually becomes because you're listening to what the person is saying and your brain is telling you, okay, this is how you pronounce it. So, je suis Sumo. You're listening to them say it, or if it's the slang, je suis Sumo. And you're repeating it after. Now that you have a better picture of what helps when working to improve your French listening skills, it's time to provide you with the various ways that French Made Easy online course could support your journey towards better French listening. If you would like to learn how to overcome listening challenges in French, then please join my online course in the description box below. Accessing a program that is made to help you learn French will give you the right push to take a further step to boost your French learning better and faster. Not only will this save you time from searching online for what kind of interviews or podcasts to listen to, if that's something you need right now, then click the link in my description box below to join my online course. Or if you have any questions and would like me to answer, put them there or send an email to hello@FrenchArena.com. Until I see you in my next lesson, thank you for watching today's lesson and please do not forget to take action on any of these tips so that you can improve your French listening skills today. Bonne journée!